They're going to go 3 wide.
And Andretti Carr moving up here at Mid-Ohio.
Turn number 4, side by side through the corner.
Rinus VK and Robert McGinnis, a dead heat at the exit of turn number 2.
Side by side, and Oliver Askew scores.
Drivers, start your engines.
And there we have it. The call to fire the engines up on pit lane. Always great to have everyone from Allied Building Products joining us here as part of the Road to Indy and our hospitality trackside here at the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. Todd, we got a great spot here. We're high above in the suites as well, overlooking the front straightaway, the run from 10 to down to 11 and 12 behind us, the yachts, the bay. A beautiful venue here.
It's a terrific venue, a fantastic job by all of the workers to put this circuit back together again in a very short period of time. When confirmation was given that yes, the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg would be able to hold fans, and a significant number of fans, there was a lot of work to be done. All of the workers, all of the volunteers, the city of St. Petersburg for their support has been tremendous. Firestone, who re-upped their commitment this year for another 3 years as the title sponsors of this event. It has been a ton of work, and we thank you for your help and your support and your cooperation. We're rewarding you with what has been a terrific weekend so far, and we're expecting another terrific race right now.
You know, and I think the thing is that when, of course, this race was shut down in the middle of March, we all went home and tried to figure out when we were going to be able to go back to racing, especially with the Road to Indy. Things started coming up about, hey, are we going to have the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg potentially again at the end of the season? We were all crossing our fingers, and for this to come together, you can just imagine how many different entities had to get together to say, yeah, we can do this. And again, as I've heard you say throughout the weekend, thank you to everybody around the grounds for making sure that you heed to the COVID-19, all our mask precautions, everything we're doing here right now to make sure that this event goes off safely and cleanly. That's exactly what we're trying to do. So again, drivers on to the racetrack. We will go green the first time by. Stingray Robb will once again lead them to the green flag, and it's been an unbelievable season. It's hard to talk too much about what Stingray Robb's been able to do since scoring that breakthrough victory at Mid-Ohio earlier in the season. Late July, went to Mid-Ohio. He was able to get the win, and as I told him many times through his young career, and of course throughout his entire Road to Indy career, it was his 49th race that he scored that first win, so the perseverance was there. He never gave up. But I told him when that first win was going to come, the floodgates were going to open, and you get ready. There's the confidence, the momentum that you were looking for.
Sometimes it takes a while for that breakthrough to come, and more than 40 races is a long time. But once it hits, then away Stingray Robb has run away with a sensational year.
And he and his Juncos Racing team have blended well, and it'll be another championship, as he says, for Juncos Racing. We'll celebrate with all of our drivers tonight at our series banquet to cap off the 2020 season. But this will be the final race on the calendar for the season here for the Road to Indy, presented by Cooper Tires. The future stars of the NTT IndyCar Series on display for you right now. Rinus VK was a champion a couple years ago for Juncos Racing. Stingray Robb did it for Juncos this year. He'll lead them to the line. Coming into the punch-off zone. Drivers lined up, 7 rows. Green, green, green. Excellent start for Stingray Robb. From the outside of the front row, Colin Kaminsky looks to tuck behind, and he'll go to the outside and try to come through cleanly. Looks like Kaminsky is through clean. One driver getting into the inside there. That might have been Tristan Carpentier. I have a feeling he might have made contact. 3 drivers involved. An incident in the opening corner here in Indy Pro 2000. One of the D-Force drivers is involved. Might be Moises de la Vera. Looked to me like that was potentially Tristan Carpentier down to the inside in the exclusive Autosport machine. We'll see if we can't dial up a replay sooner or later, but not the start we were looking for. And I told you, turn 3 was going to be hectic. It ended up happening deeper in the field as we had one driver go deep or down to the inside of the racetrack. Other, of course, coming back across. Have a look at the big boards here, folks. Let's have a look at the restart here. Driver coming down to the inside, trying to pinch it in there. That might have been Nate Aranda. Yeah, that was Nate Aranda. Nowhere to go for Tristan Carpentier. He actually might have came out cleanly, but Nate Aranda was the driver who went down the inside of the racetrack. And when you're in the inside of the track like that, it's dirty, it's dusty, it's obviously not the racing line. So Todd, there's no rubber down there, there's that paint as well. Nate Aranda in the Juncos Racing number 69 just got a little aggressive and wasn't able to woe it up.
And he didn't have any room to try to move out as he waited through the corner and tried to exit corner number 1 either. That's the tantalizing and interesting part about corner number 1 is the best passing zone by far out on the track because it gives you an opportunity to enter the corner in a number of different manners, but you still have to have the speed slowed down as you make your way through.
This doesn't always happen, but Nate Aranda actually coming through unscathed. He actually just came across the line. Parker Thompson, one of the drivers involved. Tristan Charpentier coming into pit lane. I told you he was made contact into. He'll bring that number 90 to the exclusive Autosport team here on pit lane. We'll see if they're able to make repairs to the number 90 of Charpentier. Parker Thompson falling to the tail of the field. He involved, and I believe as well, Moises de Oliveira. So Parker Thompson's season ending, I think, really characteristically what it's been like throughout the season. He has shown so much speed and has really linked with his D-Force racing crew, but the luck simply not there for Parker Thompson.
In position to have wins through the season, but has not been able to come up with one, and won't again today because of that first lap, first corner incident. We're under yellow in the first of the races this today with the 25 laps scheduled, and now the clock continues to run, and we'll wait and see how much time we're going to spend under yellow. It looks like it should be a fairly quick clean up in corner number 1. And Stingray Rob, let's talk about that start a little bit too. He seemed to slow down, maintain that nice slow speed, and then just as he decided now is the time, he's the one in control of the field, punches the throttle and gets away.
Yeah, great start. Let's have a look at this replay one more time. I want to get another look at it to make sure I was calling Aranda. There's the issue earlier there. One of the I think it was Rasmus Lint got a little wide. Yeah, look at Nate Aranda gets into the back of one of the D-Force cars, then comes across and gets into the side of Tristan Carpentier in the red and white exclusive car. I don't know how Nate got through there unscathed because he was the driver who went to the inside. He made contact with the D-Force driver, then made contact with exclusive Autosports Tristan Charpentier. Man, that's tough for both Parker Thompson and Moises de Oliveira. Neither of those drivers were at fault there whatsoever. They're the ones that end up getting collected. The driver who makes the contact still on the racetrack.
And that's the unfortunate part of how it happens sometimes, is you do everything right and you still become the victim of circumstances that surround you, as Thompson and de Oliveira were in this incident.
Yeah, both those drivers from the D-Force Racing camp. Parker is going to call this season quits. Tough one for him for sure. The rest of the field rolling by. Here's how they run on the track here. We'll have a single file restart when we do go back to green flag racing. Stingray Robb as the leader, Colin Kaminsky in second. Hunter McElroy will be third, so the Pabst Racing drivers in second and third. Daniel Frost in fourth, Artem Petrov in fifth. Rasmus Lint in the sixth spot, Devlin DeFrancesco seventh. Corey Enders in eighth and Manuel Suleiman ninth. Nate Aranda rounding out the top 10 to remain on the racetrack. Rasmus Lint was a driver who got down into the corner and things started to rotate on him in turn 1. He was able to control it, but it was starting to go around just as he was getting that turn in done and getting to the apex of 1. Good save for the driver, Rasmus Lint, the Swedish pilot that we saw run to second last year in the Indy Pro 2000 Championship points, multi-time winner in the series. Was supposed to run this year in Indy Lights. With Belardi Auto Racing, of course, Indy Lights going on hiatus during the shutdown, electing we weren't going to probably have enough cars that we wanted to be able to present a good field for Indy Lights. But man, terrific news a couple of weeks ago that Indy Lights will be back for 2021, and with Kyle Kirkwood coming back with his scholarship, Stingray Robb with his scholarship, also Linus Lindquist from the Formula Regional Americas program coming with a scholarship from Honda. This is going to be a fantastic year. I talked to all the guys that were supposed to run this year. They're all coming back.
And the scholarship for Indy Lights has been upped as well.
True.
So the winner of that championship will receive even more money, and you will expect, hey, that's a big check that somebody might be writing, so I might want to get involved. So that's going to attract even more attention and more focus, and will assure the winner of that championship and that scholarship a significant ride in the IndyCar Series the next season.
Indeed, 1 lap to go this time around, but indeed, Todd, $1.25 million now, the scholarship that the Indy Lights champion will get. So that is going to give them essentially 3 IndyCar races, including the Indianapolis 500. But even if you don't win the championship, first, second, and third are going to get an IndyCar test very soon after the season, I believe at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So there's an opportunity, call it a combine if you will, a chance for second and third to get behind the wheel of one of the top team's cars and really kind of go on a shakedown. It's really a tryout to a certain extent. So indeed, white flag, or rather the 1 to go signal, not the white flag, the 1 to go signal given at start finish. So we will go back again to green flag racing this next time around. 4 laps will go in the books, 21 still remaining here for Indy Pro. Again, this is the second rung of the road to Indy. More news coming out of the Road to Indy camp. The driver who won the Cooper Tires USF 2000 championship last year, Braden Eves, who was a definite championship contender with Exclusive Autosport this year in Indy Pro, was able to get a victory at Mid-Ohio, was right there in the championship hunt. A really nasty accident at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway where he got injured, damage to the neck. He's actually looking a lot better. I think he's almost fully recovered. Just announcing this weekend that he'll be back with Exclusive next year in Indy Pro 2000. I think everybody was kind of crossing their fingers to make sure that this wouldn't have been the end of the run for Braden. He is such a talented young driver from Ohio, and he'll be back next year, which even makes that series more competitive in 2021.
Absolutely. Yeah. That was a nasty crash, and you knew that it was going to be a long rehabilitation following Braden Eves on social media. Yep. He's been chronicling some of that, and it's great to see that he's on the road to recovery and has plans to return next season.
Well, he's had that neck brace on since it happened. You always think about how do you sleep with that neck brace on, and then to see him here this weekend, the brace is off. The healing has been absolutely quick, and another an X-ray, he's doing great. Which, man, all of us, we saw that wreck. The car, the rear end, the suspension folding under, kind of flipping over, and good to see him back at it. So, Road to Indy pace car pulling off into pit lane, back to the hands of Stingray Robb. This will be a single file restart. Lap 4 will go in the books when they come across the line. 21 laps to go in Stingray Robb on the throttle quickly, but Colin Kaminsky with a good jump as well. Are we going to see a battle down into turn number 1? Kaminsky with a big drive. McElray right with him. Stingray Robb's going to go to the middle of the racetrack. Oh, big wiggle on the brakes for McElray trying to get in. Stingray Robb goes a bit wide. He does go wide, new leader. Stingray Robb's going to go back to third, maybe fourth. Stingray Robb overcooked it going into turn number 1 on the restart. Colin Kaminsky, new leader. Here comes McElray. The two teammates side by side. McElray to the inside, side by side. Almost contact. Look at these guys throwing these cars around. What a run here. McElray back to the inside. They are going back and forth. Hunter McElray and Colin Kaminsky. Who's the leader now? Trying to pick it up. It's McElray. Hunter McElray has moved his way to P1. That's not the racing as a team owner you want to see. Pabst Racing, Todd, back and forth through 2, 3, 4, 5.
I can't believe Hunter McElray and Colin Kaminsky got through turn 4 and made it through to turn 5. They went through side by side, but good for them, giving each other enough racing room, enough room to make a mistake and a little wiggle, but they are now running 1 and 2, and now we'll get to see Stingray Robb and see if he can come through as another full course caution flies.
Full course yellow coming out. There's been an incident on the racetrack here, full course yellow, but wow, that was unbelievable. We'll try to pick up who it is, folks, when they come back around. Unsure what the reason for the full course is. Manuel Suleiman falling down the order, so let's talk about Manuel. So potentially Manuel Suleiman off the racetrack here. Full course yellow again. So not getting off to a start, but at least we're giving you some excitement. Stingray Robb into turn number 1, just overcooked it a little bit, went wide. And Kaminsky had committed to the wide run through turn 1, got a really good run out of the corner, and obviously was able to beat Stingray out of the corner. Stingray almost lost a spot to Daniel Frost as well. And there's Manuel Suleiman there, overcooked it, I believe, coming into turn number 4. Just kind of went off the outside of the racetrack, made contact with the tire barrier. So a tough one for a driver who's got 2 wins on the season for D-Force Racing. Just not a good day for D-Force.
What a day for D-Force Racing, but what a lot of action that we've had. Not a lot of green flag action, but the time that we have been on track on that restart, what a great start for Stingray Robb, who looked like he was on the throttle really early, coming out of the final hairpin 13 and 14 and down the main straightaway. Looked like he wanted to accelerate as quickly as he can, try to get away from Colin Kaminsky, but it ended up working against him as he went a little too deep into corner number 1. We're going to try and have a quick replay and see what happened with this incident in corner number 4.
So here's a look at the replay here coming down the inside. Big brake lockup, I think, for Suleiman. Now that was actually one of the other cars. There's Suleiman outside of the racing line. That's kind of weird because he was outside the racing line. Car didn't turn in very well. Let's have another look at that because now we've been able to pick up the driver. I was looking more at the battle between the two Turn 3 Motorsports drivers on the inside of the racetrack. It's actually further back on the outside, the number 8, far to the right side of the screen. And you can see just kind of not able to get the car to turn in, and I'm surprised that he went that far off. I don't know if there maybe was an issue with the brakes or something happened, but Manuel Suleiman straight off the outside of the racetrack there, not able to turn into the corner. So definitely a good look at it. hard to decipher exactly what might have happened there.
Yeah, it just looked like he went too deep and went far off into the corner, into that little bit of a runoff area. But you got to see through those replays how close the fighting was between the front two of Hunter McElroy and Colin Kaminsky, and I'm not sure how they went through, but they did give each other enough room to do that, and it looked like Daniel Frost was locking up the brakes to avoid contact with Stingray Robb.
Yeah, or waiting for something to happen as well, right?
True enough.
Because, man, they went side by side coming into that corner. Frost got really aggressive trying to get by Stingray Robb, and there's the damage to the number 8, Emmanuel Suleiman. So the contact he made coming into the Bear is actually damaging that left front on the D-Force racing machine. So D-Force drivers have fallen back. That's 3 of them. There's only 1 left. That's Corey Enders, the final D-Force driver, still on the racetrack. It's been a rough one. They are coming off, of course, a second-place finish for Kiko Porto in USF 2000. But interesting with Hunter McElroy and Colin Kaminsky. These are the 2 teammates from Pabst Racing. They ran together last year, of course, in USF 2000. The best of friends. They call each other peanut butter and jelly, kind of back and forth, and we almost mixed the 2 together there in turn number 5. And I think Colin probably gave him a little bit of room for Hunter coming through, and you can see Colin was all on the throttle still. He was working it coming out of the corner out of turn number 4, trying to see if he couldn't hold back Hunter. But yeah, Hunter was coming. I don't think anybody was going to stop him going down the inside there, good friend or not. He was going to the lead, because to be honest, Hunter's a guy last year that he's used to winning coming up through the ranks. And at the start of last year, Braden Eves was really the dominant driver, won a lot of races, and Hunter was waiting for that first win. And after he got the first victory, he told me, he said, I don't think I've waited that long for a victory in my life. And he hasn't won it all this year. Pabst Racing, brand new to Indy Pro. He's waiting for that breakthrough. We keep saying it could be this weekend here. And I tweeted that out, that this could be the breakthrough weekend for Hunter McElroy. Now he's P1 right now. Laps winding down, 6 in. But with Hunter out front, as we're going to come back to green, this is going to be tough, Todd, because this is the guy who likes to lead races.
Last weekend of the season, your last opportunity to get that first victory. We'll see if he can hold on.
He's one of those guys, Hunter McElroy, when you give him the lead, it's going to be hard to wrestle back away. Fantastic start for him as he's going to jet away early here. Hunter McElroy out to the lead. Kaminsky into second. Stingray Robb third. Fourth is Frost, and fifth is Petrov. Move to the inside, further back as well. I believe that's Rasmus Lint getting to the inside of Artem Petrov. That would be for 5th position. Oh, and they're on top of it right now. They are battling. I don't know that he was able to get the pass done. There's the lead there for McElroy, working his way in. Deep move to the inside. Almost contact there as Rasmus Lint putting a ton of pressure here now on Artem Petrov, and the same goes for Daniel Frost on Stingray Robb. So that's really 2 Turn 3 Motorsports cars battling with the 2 Juncos racing cars. 2 different battles, exactly the same teams as part of the battle.
Stingray Robb started on pole, was on track for perhaps a perfect weekend. He had scored the pole in both races. He had the victory yesterday, had set new qualifying and race laps, but now finds himself running 3rd behind Hunter McElroy and Colin Kaminsky, running 1-2 after a restart sent him a little wide in through corner number 1. Now will he be able to fight back? Will he be able to hold off Daniel Frost and Artem Petrov 5th?
Looking on the racetrack right now, Stingray Robb's fallen back another spot. Artem Petrov's been able to get by. Stingray has moved his way back into 5th position. I was thinking more that wouldn't be surprised to watch him kind of settle in, because we still have lots of time left, 17 laps left in this race. Just settle in and kind of try to work his way back forward. But already getting a pass by his teammate Artem Petrov, you got to wonder whether or not maybe something's wrong with the car of Stingray Robb. Battle there further back. There's the fight there. Look at this scrap side by side. That is a great move by, I want to say, Rasmus Lint to get by Artem Petrov. Good move to the inside of that corner. That's a shot there of, I believe, Robb, Lint, and DiFrancesco. Leaders looking good out front. It was a 2.4 second advantage for McElroy last time by. Trying to look to see how things are shaking down, but based on what we're seeing coming through here, yeah, that's the shot there of Lint, Robb, and DiFrancesco. Big lead for McElroy still up the line. Daniel Frost really trying to reel in Colin Kaminsky. Artem Petrov on the move now as well.
Stingray Robb has lost another spot as well to Rasmus Lind. He continues to fall back in this field. This is very unlike Stingray Robb. You're right. There must be some issue in terms that he is dealing with inside that car. Maybe a little bit of a handling issue or something. But that car is definitely off song a little bit just in its performance that it's fallen back.
Yeah, rolling into turn one when he had that issue that allowed Kaminsky to get by, he and McElroy to get by. I didn't see a lockup like it was a big huge brake lockup that might have flat spotted the tires or anything. So unsure what's going on. Now you wonder then, with that issue into one, is there a potential braking problem? Did he have trouble with the brakes, and is that something he's lost confidence in and has kind of backed it up a little bit? Everybody behind him getting super aggressive. I also think that, Stingray's on a limited budget. There's not a lot of money there. He's got a bunch of investors they brought through. There was times in this year he may not have been able to continue racing if it wasn't for some of the investors that came to be part of his program. He may be thinking, hey, you know what? There's no need for me to battle it out. There's no need for me to rip a corner off of one of these cars. It's not cheap to rip a corner off one of these cars, the damage to a wheel. It's pricey. So you know what? I can cruise here right now, currently running in the 6th position. I've got my championship. I would love to have went back to back, but I don't need to. He doesn't need to get this done.
Also part of the learning process of drivers as they advance up the road to Indy, hopefully to one day make it to the NTT IndyCar Series. 10 laps in, and look, Stingray Robb posting a quick lap.
Nothing wrong with the car, obviously, now. He's got the fast lap of the race, a 109.763. But again, you wonder what happened with those particular laps where he found himself falling back. Was it just a case of he knew how aggressive everybody was and he just wasn't going to risk dropping a $15,000 repair bill on the team or in his crew at the end of the season? Last race of the year. It doesn't mean anything at all in terms of his career, just the momentum. And if he still has that mindset, it's not going to hurt.
And getting out of the rhythm, too. Even though it was early on that we had that restart and he went wide, you're still settled, you're still comfortable. The weekend is moving along and proceeding as smoothly as it's supposed to be. When you get disrupted, it takes you a little time to get sorted back out and get back on it again.
I'm sure we've got a crew listening back in Australia, watching the broadcast here back in Australia, cheering on Hunter McElroy, the Pabst Racing driver, who is out to a nice solid lead right now. 2.1 second the advantage for McElroy. Colin Kaminsky laying down a 109.491. He's the fast lap right now for Colin Kaminsky. 2.1 seconds the lead as Pabst Racing runs 1-2. This Pabst Racing operation, Todd, has been one of the front runners in USF 2000 for the last many years. Augie Pabst and his crew, Tony Kasimets and all the guys under the tent. This is their first year jumping into this Indy Pro 2000 category, and it does take some time to learn the car. Remember, everywhere they've gone, essentially they've come, especially to a street race, that setup sheet's blank. There's no numbers. There's no nothing on that setup sheet. Everywhere they go, they're learning about the car, learning about what it wants. So they're always a bit on the back foot. They've got better and better throughout the season. Both Kaminsky and McElroy have really stepped things up midway through the season on.
And it's just like the drivers as they're into the series, learning new tracks, learning about the car, learning their team. The teams that enter the series as well takes them a little time to get up to speed, and to have this kind of performance in the final event of the season gives them some momentum going into the off season. Stingray Robb seems to be okay now. He's cut that deficit to Rasmus Lind ahead of him down to 0.3 of a second on the previous lap. As they cross the start-finish line, we'll see if he's able to close it down just a little bit further. No, it's stretched out a little again.
Now here's that run down into turn number one. That right there is Rasmus Lind and Stingray Robb close to probably, I want to say about 2 car lengths as they rolled through the exit of turn number one. So Stingray Robb starting to get back up on it again. Of course, we've seen the speed out of the car. Kaminsky still with a fast driver. 109.076. Kaminsky 0.4 faster than his teammate last time by. So Kaminsky cutting the gap down to 1.8 seconds. We're only at the halfway point here. When they get back around, 13 laps down, 12 to go. But man, we have ourselves a scrap right now. Artem Petrov, Rasmus Lind, and Stingray Robb. That's it right there, coming through the kink over to turn number 10. I don't know if Petrov may be holding them up a little bit now. Watch him come through. Look at this. And I'll tell you, Rasmus Lind's going to get aggressive. He wants to get by. Look for a pass potentially in turn number one if he can get that run out of the final corner. There's your top three. McElroy, Kaminsky, and Frost. Yeah, I'll tell you, Rasmus Lind right up on the gearbox of Artem Petrov. Look at this. He's going to make a pass coming out of the corner. That'll be side by side coming across start finish. Rasmus Lind to the inside. Down to the braking zone. Rasmus Lind to the inside, side by side. Look at this. Artem Petrov trying to roll. Stingray Robb's going to throw it in there as well. Robb's going to get by. Book it. Double pass there. Petrov going back down to P6. Rasmus Lind did the heavy lifting there, and Stingray Robb just took full advantage of it.
Great example there of a pass that was completed in corner number 1, but the setup started much further back on that lap, getting right up on the gearbox of the driver ahead of you, then coming out of 13 and 14 tucked up to take advantage of the draft. It takes almost that full front straightaway to get into position before you can pop out, take the inside move around, and then Stingray Robb followed through at the opening.
The thing there was that wasn't that typical move. I don't know how he was able to do it, but Rasmuth got right behind him. He pulled out and were side by side by start-finish line. He was able to get a good run out. I don't know that Artem may have just pushed a little bit at the corner, but Rasmuth was able to get that car down to the inside. That was a really nicely executed pass. Leaders separated now pretty significantly. 1.2 seconds still the gap between first and second, but again, 0.3 of a second. Colin Kaminsky's closing up on his teammate right now. It's 1.2 seconds. Kaminsky quicker than Hunter McElroy. We're going to get a Pabst battle, peanut butter versus jelly. This could be interesting.
Working lap 15, Hunter McElroy, Colin Kaminsky, the teammates running 1 and 2. Daniel Frost, Rasmus Lind, and Stingray Robb rounding out the top 5 on the Indy Pro 2000 Series final race of the 2020 season.
Like I said, these two Pabst racing drivers, such good friends off the racetrack. Absolute characters in the paddock, too. Just two really, really quality young men. Of course, the American Kaminsky, McElroy, an Australian, born actually in California, I believe. Just two good kids, and I'd love to see both of them get a chance to stand on top of the podium. We may have ourselves a battle here now. I'm also watching the lap times of Daniel Frost, because really we're shrinking up the top 3. It's not just Kaminsky closing up on McElroy. It's also Frost potentially inching his way into the fight too. So we could have a 3-driver scrap before this is all said and done. Let's look at the gap again. It was 1.26 last time by. This time by the stripe, we'll update it. How about less than a second? Daniel Frost goes with the fastest lap, but it's less than a second now for Kaminsky behind McElroy. He has turned up the wick, and Frost is coming too. It's only 2 seconds off the lead. Frost about a second behind Kaminsky. 10 laps to go. Man, Indy Pro 2000, Todd, wanted to put a little show on for us at the end of the season.
Let's give it a little drama at the end of the season. And Artem Petrov, since he dropped down those couple of positions, losing the spots to Rasmus Lind and Stingray Robb, now feeling the heat from behind from Devlin DiFrancesco. Less than a tenth between those two drivers as they cross the start-finish line.
So getting some input, Todd, from some of the spotters I had that are listening to some of the radios, track being described as a bit greasy right now. Not surprising. High humidity here today. The temperature's starting to come up. IndyCar out just before this session, the IndyCar warm-up session. A lot of used tires being obviously implemented in that session, so a lot of stuff getting rubbed down there. And I'm also being told that Stingray is complaining the car oversteering a little bit. He's having trouble getting that rear end planted. So a bit of oversteer for Stingray Robb. That's what he's battling with back in 5th position. That gap again down to a half a second. Colin Kaminsky continues to reel in his teammate, Hunter McElroy. And as everyone knows, as I say that, Stingray Robb just sets fast lap of the race, a 108.316. He's trying to figure out a way around the challenges of the racetrack. And Todd, that's what a good driver will do. Whatever the track presents you, you have to figure out a way around it, how to be able to get your car managed.
And depending on what your car is doing as well, you mentioned a little bit of oversteer, so that complicates what you do to combat the conditions of the track as well.
All right, so top 3 drivers have shrunk down to just 1.5 seconds. It's the 2 Pabst drivers up front. And those of you maybe new to the sport, coming here to enjoy the weekend, here's the unwritten rule when teammates are racing together on the track. Now, both these drivers are paying for their own rides. They're both going to go for the championship or go for the race win. But whatever you do, you never wreck your teammate. And so that means that whatever pass is coming from Kaminsky, if he can get it done, it's got to be decisive and it's got to be done right.
The way Hunter McElroy passed earlier.
Yes. Aggressive and assertive. You're going to go for it, go for it. Gap about 0.6 of a second. You wonder whether or not McElroy's car just ready to come in. Another fast lap for Stingray Robb as he is closed up to within a second of Rasmus Lind. Here's another battle further back as well, just to pick it up here. Devlin DiFrancesco making a move to the inside of Artem Petrov. That's going to be helping for the championship for DiFrancesco as well. Devlin DiFrancesco, even with Daniel Frost running third, DiFrancesco's making a move to secure second place in the final points.
This is what we talked about off the start of the race. Stingray Robb had clinched the championship. He was going to get the scholarship to move to Indy Lights next season, but other positions were still very much up for grabs, second, third, and fourth, and every point will matter in this race.
We know that we'll see Devlin DiFrancesco very likely with Andretti next year in the Indy Lights program, running for Andretti Steinbrenner Autosport here in the program this year. Devlin coming through the European Formula Car ranks and then electing to come home, born in Canada, lived a lot of his life in Italy. Coming back here to North America to run the road to Indy. Look forward to seeing what he can do next year in Indy Lights. But here come the leaders again across our finish. Lap 18 in the books. 7 laps remaining. 0.6 of a second, still the lead for Hunter McElroy. Colin Kaminsky runs P2.
And Daniel Frost in position, if there is a fight between Hunter McElroy and Colin Kaminsky, he's in position to perhaps capitalize the way those two front runners did when Stingray Robb went ride a little bit earlier. We've seen that happen in other events through this weekend. There are drivers that if you're running third, you want to be close to what's happening ahead of you, but sometimes it's positive to be not too close to what's happening ahead of you.
Yeah, don't get caught up in the wreck, right? Be able to drive around it. Steve Wittig from TSOladder.com, Trackside Online, giving me an update here as well that the number 42 of Artem Petrov, the pass that was made by DiFrancesco, he actually had to cede the position for blocking. So Artem was blocking Devlin. The race control said you have to let him by. So DiFrancesco, not a pass, but actually just a move by Petrov to let him by. So indeed, 341 points for Devlin DiFrancesco as he runs on the racetrack, would finish second in points. As they run, Daniel Frost would jump up to third because he and Petrov separated by just 1 point now.
Teammates ever so slightly closer on that lap, and you can see heading into corner 1, it's Colin Kaminsky who moves up just a little bit, and Hunter McElroy seems to pull away a little bit at other points around this circuit.
The issue is that a half a second at the line, not really enough to make that move down into turn number 1. You've got to be super aggressive to be able to get that move done in 1 when you're a half second back at the line. This is going to be interesting the way it all shakes down with 6 to go. Corey Anderson, the number 7, and Nate Aranda in the 69 continue to run 8th to 9th. Corey putting the pressure on, trying to close in. He was quicker by about 0.3 last time by, only 0.3 back. So expect a battle for 8th here right now between Corey Anderson and Nate Aranda before it's all said and done. 5 laps to go, Todd, when they get back around.
Good battles throughout the field in this Indy Pro 2000 race. Hunter McElroy remains out front. Colin Kaminsky a half a second or so behind with 5 laps to go. Daniel Frost running third, about 1.5 seconds away in position if there is an opportunity to improve his position as the leaders come to the start-finish line once again. And Frost looks like he's closed up a little.
Yeah, Daniel Frost most definitely closing up on Colin Kaminsky. Yeah, he's got it down to 0.4 of a second back. We got ourselves a battle. Top 3 drivers within 0.8 of a second. Who's going to be the most aggressive here over the final 5 laps? Daniel Frost, the only of the 3 here that has won a race, and that was way back at the first race of the season at Road America. He's not been able to duplicate that win from the opener. He now runs P3. This is going to be a barn burner of a finish. McElroy, Kaminsky, and Frost. The 42 of Artem Petrov into pit lane. So move everybody else up a spot. That's it for Artem Petrov in the 49. I don't know if that's a drive-through or whatever it may be, but now he'll head down to his crew on pit lane. We'll continue to key on this battle for the lead. Top 3 drivers. Look at this out of turn number 10. Hunter McElroy going to rely and go back to all those races he led coming up through the Formula Ford ranks, everything he's done. Of course, winning races last year in USF 2000. He's had a chance to lead races. He's had a chance to lead and win. This is when he's calling on all the experience that he had last year. Colin Kaminsky trying to chase down his teammate, Todd. 4 laps to go.
The gap still just over 0.5 seconds between the two teammates, Hunter McElroy and Colin Kaminsky. Daniel Frost running third. Rasmus Lind is 4th, and Stingray Robb also continuing to close that gap up on the 4th place position. 0.6 of a second now behind Rasmus Lind.
Yeah, Stingray just reset the fast lap of the race once again as he's trying to reel down Rasmus Lind for 4th position. Whatever the issue was in turn 1, Stingray Robb said goodbye to a sweep of the weekend. As we've got just 4 laps remaining, he fell back into the field and has clawed his way back up into that 5th spot. Stingray Robb trying to reel in Rasmus Lind, but right now it's McElroy, Kaminsky, and Frost separated by about 1 second. Important laps here for Hunter McElroy. Here's a guy that's trying to finish this season off. Has not been able to get that win. He wants it. He wants that victory to be able to break through to say he's been a winner here. Obviously, the focus for Hunter would be to come back to Indy Pro 2000 next year, be definitely a championship contender based on what we've seen out of him in the second half of the season.
thought Colin Kaminsky might have run just a little bit wide coming out through corner 13 and 14, and that gap goes up to just over 0.6 of a second now behind Hunter McElroy. Daniel Frost third, 1.4 seconds further back.
Hunter McElroy turning very consistent lap times right now, 108.20 last time by, and that's what you have to do when you're getting pressured like this. And really, for those of you watching the race, and we're going to see it later on in the IndyCar event as well, when you are leading, it's all about not worrying about anything else behind you. You've got to hit your marks. Every lap, a qualifying lap. Be consistent. Don't make that mistake. Don't overcook it. It's about repeatability. You want to be able to go lap after lap, no mistakes, and that's how you get to victory lane, even when you're getting pressured from behind. Even if that driver behind is close on speed, as long as you don't make the mistake and give them that opening, you're going to be able to hold them back.
It's watching out the front of the car as opposed to checking those mirrors too frequently, and that's why we see drivers who are pursuing and looking to gain position. They will move from one side to the other. They will give the driver ahead of them a bit of a different look. It's trying to distract them, trying to get them to focus on them coming behind them.
If you can break the concentration one little bit when you're going into the braking zone, they overcook it, you're able to capitalize. Hunter McElroy, 2 to go. Again, last year, multi-time winner for Pabst Racing in the USF 2000 program, a close runner-up last year to Braden Eves in the championship. His move up to Indy Pro 2000 has now netted some great finishes here in the second half of the season. We've seen him on the podium, but have not yet seen him as a victor. And I'll tell you, Colin Kaminsky's closed to within 2 car lengths. This is a battle between the 2 Pabst drivers to bring it home here. McElroy and Kaminsky, they got a bit of a gap back now to the 68 of Daniel Frost. Will Kaminsky throw it in there in turn number 1? It's all going to be about the exit coming out of 14, whether or not we'll get one more shot in 1 for Kaminsky. Clean out of 10. You can see how close Kaminsky is there, but again, who's going to get on the throttle earlier as they roll through the hairpin of 13-14? Good rotation there. You can see him kind of diamond the corner a little bit, get the thing into the apex, get it rotated, and back on the throttle. Big gap here, probably 7 or 8 car lengths for Hunter McElroy. I'll tell you, if you're in the Pabst Racing crew down on pit lane right now, you're just crossing your fingers. Like it could be a 1-2, unless our guys want to race each other.
We don't care who wins. We want one of them to come across first, and it is 1-2. There's a bit of a gap. This is the last lap. White flag was displayed at the start-finish line. Is there going to be an opportunity for Kaminsky to make the move, or is Hunter McElroy going to be able to carry it home?
Really only one more spot, and that would be to get a run and maybe try to outbreak him down into the turn number 10 corner, but I just don't think he's close enough. They'll work their way out of turn number 9 now. This is that run onto the straightaway. Good run for both those drivers. You can see McElroy using all of the racetrack on the corner, trying to maximize exit speed. If he comes out at turn number 10, it's almost locked and loaded for Hunter McElroy. He's been waiting all year to get on top of the podium. We'll see that smile once again. He is a tremendous driver, and he wanted to get that victory, get that goose egg wrapped up, get it out, get that win done before the end of the season. And folks, he's going to get it done. It's going to be a Pabst Racing 1-2. If you're a Hunter McElroy fan, stand up, because the guy just won here in St. Petersburg, the victor in the final round of the Indy Pro 2000 Championship, Hunter McElroy, by 0.6 of a second. Pabst Racing 1-2. Colin Kaminsky, his best run of the year as well. What a drive for Colin as he goes to P2 here in the dry at St. Petersburg. Looked good in the wet at New Jersey as well. Daniel Frost coming home 3rd, Rasmuth Lint 4th, and Stingray Robb 5th. You could see as he came across the line, Todd, the fist in the air, it just getting rid of the stress of not being able to get that victory.
I love to see that enthusiasm from the drivers as you see it up on the big screen, or if you're in the main grandstands on the front straightaway. When they know that the victory is in their hand, they'll even dip towards the pit wall to salute their team and all the effort that goes in, not just today and this weekend, but all season long. That fist pump in the air, the signal that, yes, we've done it, we're successful, we're victorious.
And you think about the family at Pabst Racing as well. They've been in the sport for so many years. Of course, a legendary, iconic name in the Road America area, sports car racing through Wisconsin. But the Pabst Racing crew, they've won team championships in USF 2000, obviously almost winning the title last year with Hunter. But to be able to come with these 2 drivers that they had last year into Indy Pro, their first year, they know the kids. they just got better and better. That's it right there. Hunter McElroy, Colin Kaminsky, first and second. The 18 and the 19. That's what Pabst Racing won too. Same goes for Turn 3 Motorsports. Third and fourth, Daniel Frost and Rasmus Lind, all part of Peter Dempsey's squad. Stingray Robb, your champion, coming home P5 in the final run of his Indy Pro 2000 career. Devlin DiFrancesco with a 6th place finish, moving his way and locks in 2nd place in the points. Corey Enders has a good run to get by Nate Aranda. He goes up to 7th. Aranda 8th. Petrov 9th. And Manuel Suleiman, as we said, out early after just 4 laps as he ends up in the 10th position. Todd, that's it for me up here with you in the PA booth. Back down to Tatis Victory Lane. We got IndyCar coming still. I hope you have a great rest of your day. But, man, I'm going to go down and celebrate with the guys in Victory Lane.
Unbelievable race. It's been such a tough year, up and down. You know, so many things outside of my control, and we came so close. Yeah, I had a good feeling. We were super fast all weekend, just didn't quite put it together. When I found myself in the lead, I just managed the gap, and then, you know, hit my marks. My teammate was super fast, and then I thought, okay, I got to push a bit harder towards the end. So I dropped the hammer at the end a bit, and then, yeah, managed to take home the win. So can't explain how good this feels. Can't thank the team enough. Pabst Racing, Guild Trap Group, Dirk New Zealand, everyone for their support. It's been, like I said, the toughest year of my career, but I've learned so much, and for whatever the future holds, I'll be 100% prepared. So I can't think of a better way to end a tough year than on top.